Okay. Good morning, everyone. On this minus 10 below zero up here in northern Minnesota from my homestead in Finlayson, Minnesota. Broadcasting live, streaming live, whatever you want to call it. I'm probably dating myself when I use terms like that. I am Dr. Jeff Evenson. I'm a board certified doctor of holistic health. I am not a medical doctor. I do not practice medicine. I do not pretend to practice medicine. I don't treat, diagnose, or cure. Instead, I work with people getting back to health naturally with holistic means, natural means, without drugs or surgery. Lots of education, mentoring, coaching. I'm a health coach, primal health coach, holistic lifestyle coach. Um, and I love working with people to remember who they are and rediscover their health. It is just awesome to do that. So this week has been an interesting week because it has been so cold up here in Minnesota. Last weekend, um, I did not go out to my shop. Usually, I'm out. I do a walk through my shop every day during the winter just to make sure things are right. Sunday, I did not do that. So Monday morning, I get up at my usual time, five o'clock. I head out to the gym, which is out in my shop, and it was I think -9 or might have been -14 out that day. Um, I walked into the shop and it was 31 degrees inside the shop, and that's never ever a good thing. The For some reason the boiler tripped off, and I found out what happened. Uh, in the back part of the shop where my gym is, it's a lot harder to at keep the heat back there, and the boilers froze. I lost three cast iron boilers. They completely ruptured and popped open. These cast iron boilers popped open, and of course, when you get the heat back on, I was able to cut off that section of the shop, get the heat restored to the rest of the shop, got the space heaters back there, and once you start heating that stuff up, the reason those radiators popped open is because of the ice inside that starts melting, and then water goes down. Um, and so it was. It took me a little bit. I still worked out. 25 degrees in that part of the shop. I decided, you know what, I'm still going to work out, and I did. And it would have been probably pretty cool if I had taken the time to get some video of that, because I'm doing my reps and all that kind of stuff. And as you blow out, you can see your breath blowing out, and that would have been pretty cool. And hold on a minute, I got to let Louie in. If it wasn't so cold out right now, I would have let him stay out there. But it's -10 here this morning. Might be warming up a little bit, but yeah. So I got my workout done, and got Monday, made some calls, and there's a company local up here, DNE Heating and Cooling, Heating and Air Conditioning. They were very responsive to my needs, and they actually came out yesterday or on Thursday and replaced the radiators, the old radiators. With new baseboard radiating, radiators, and they are working like a champ. Um, the old radiators, I don't know how those got installed, because those things, to take them out, I bet they weighed more than 500 pounds. These things were heavy. Even with three of us, I helped the two guys. With three of us, we had trouble getting them out of the shop. So that was kind of crazy. Probably, years of silt and stuff in the bottom of them. And of course, some of them, we tried to drain them to take the water weight off of it, but they were still pretty heavy. So I got a good show, I think, lined up here. We're going to talk about symptoms. People chase symptoms all the time. And I didn't put this in my notes, but as I was thinking about the show, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here because, when we look at symptoms, all of us, we're all trained to look at our symptoms as something's really wrong, which may or may not be true. But we're trained to go into a conventional medical system, get looked at by the doc or the nurse, mostly by the doc, and they listen or don't, and they'll give you a prescription and say, all right, here you go. And we're trained to believe that if we take that prescription and things start to feel better, that everything is fixed. Okay. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you haven't figured this out, it's not fixed. The reason for the symptoms is still uninvestigated. The doctors don't know what's causing the symptoms. That's where I pick up the ball. I work with clients. We're going to figure out what is causing those symptoms in the first place. And the medical system will not fucking do it for you. It is broken. I've lived through this shit with the medical system, and this is why I'm a holistic practitioner today. Because there was no place I could go to get the care, because I had the surgery, and after I healed up from this horrific surgery I had in my stomach, I still had the problems. So, but don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place for conventional medicine. Conventional medicine is very good at reactive medical care. Okay? If you wait too long with the symptoms and you need to have your gallbladder ruptures or your appendix ruptures, whatever, yeah, okay, you got to have that fixed. This is not what I'm talking about. Talking about these chronic health issues that just don't seem to go away when we keep taking the stupid prescriptions that they're giving us that don't do anything except maybe exacerbate the problems and create the setup where you have to take more prescriptions to overcome the shit that the first one is doing. That system is broken. And if you haven't figured it out, I'm pretty passionate about it because I've lived through the trials and the tribulations that come with that when you keep chasing the symptoms and you keep chasing and keep chasing. Oh, that prescription didn't work. Here's a different one. Let's try that. And that one doesn't work. Or you try another one and you feel like worse shit than you did before. But they tell us just give it a little bit of time. And so we suck it up. We just try to push through. And it doesn't help. Or they're giving us a prescription because, oh, you're at this age requirement, you need to start being on a statin to prevent heart disease. Folks, statins do not prevent heart disease. One of the worst things you can do is lower your cholesterol. Your body needs cholesterol. That's what is trying to repair the damage in your body. Heart disease is caused by the inflammation. Cholesterol is deployed by your body to go fix that. Your brain thrives on cholesterol. It needs the fat. And when you take these medications to lower the cholesterol in your body, you're lowering the fat in your blood, and it's not getting up into your brain. And then we wonder why our society is so depressed or so anxious. Yeah. So I did all that. I just said all that. Sorry for the rant, but man, it gets me going. And as I was putting this note together, you should have seen me yesterday, or my notes together for the thing. So let's dive into it. I want to try to get through the content by in before the show is over, obviously. So let's get after it. If you happen to be watching, say hi in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. That is awesome to see where the audience is at. And it looks like most people are up on Facebook. If you are seeing me on my personal page, click follow or follow the business page. But every day I drop content out on my personal page. I'm a content creator in the eyes of Facebook world. So hit follow up there, and you'll get to see my content every day that comes out. I've been pretty good about posting something, at least one thing a day. So, all right, so here we go. If you've been dealing with symptoms for a long time, okay, there's a good chance that you are tired. You're not just physically tired, but you're tired of chasing answers. Okay. Headaches that come and go, digestive issues that shift every few weeks, fatigue that never really lifts, anxiety, poor sleep, stubborn weight, food reactions you never used to have. What most people don't realize is this: the reason those symptoms keep changing isn't because you're failing, it's because the body is adapting to that. I talked about some of that last week too. And adaptation is not the same thing as healing. Most health approaches teach people to hunt symptoms. Find the headache fix, find the gut fix, find the hormone fix. And every time one thing improves, something else shows up. And you get in that cycle, it's exhausting. I've been on this medical merry-go-round. Um, I call it the medical meat grinder when you get into the system. I even put a website out there, medicalmeatgrinder.com. So the cycle is exhausting. It's not accidental. Okay. Symptoms are not isolated problems. They're signals coming from systems that are under stress, overloaded, or stuck in survival mode. And when you suppress a symptom without addressing what's driving it, the body doesn't relax. It compensates, it reroutes, and eventually it speaks louder. This is why people feel like they're always starting over. And in my practice, I don't start with the symptom and ask, how do we make this go away? I start by asking, why does your body need the symptom right now? Because here's the truth that most people never hear: the body doesn't create symptoms to punish you, it creates them to protect you. And breaking the cycle doesn't come from trying harder, stacking more supplements, or following the next protocol. It comes from understanding what your body has capacity for, what pathways are blocked, and what needs to be addressed first. That's exactly how my program is designed. Instead of chasing relief, we're going to work in sequence. We restore regulation before resolution. We support drainage before detox. We rebuild capacity so the body doesn't have to scream through symptoms anymore. And when you work with the body instead of against it, symptoms stop being the enemy. They become the roadmap. And so today I want to walk you through some of the most common symptoms people live with and show you what they're actually pointing to beneath the surface. Because once you understand the signal, you stop chasing and real healing can finally begin. So, one of the first symptoms we're going to talk about, and I think everybody can relate to this. Hey, Janae, thanks for joining from McGregor, Minnesota. I might be driving up through that way. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to head out to Brainerd today. Um, anyway, one of the symptoms that most of us can probably relate to is fatigue. Okay, when the body is out of capacity. Fatigue is one of the most common symptoms that I see in my practice, and it's also one of the most misunderstood. Most people think that fatigue means low energy, or not enough sleep, or that they're just not pushing hard enough. Okay, but clinically, fatigue is almost never about motivation. It's about capacity. And when someone tells me they're exhausted all the time, what I hear is this: their body is spending more energy surviving than it has available for repair. So fatigue shows up when the nervous system is under a constant load, when blood sugar is unstable, When stress hormones have been elevated for too long, when detox and drainage pathways are overwhelmed and the body is quietly holding the line, and in that state, the body makes a decision. It slows things down. Not because it's failing, but because it's protecting you. This is why stimulants help for a little while. This is why caffeine works until it doesn't. This is why people feel okay in the morning and crash midday. Or why they can exercise but feel wiped out afterward for days. The body is borrowing energy it doesn't have. And the more often that happens, the deeper the fatigue sets in. And what most people do at this point is try to override it. More coffee, harder workouts, more supplements aimed at energy. But energy isn't something you add when the system is overloaded. It's something that returns when the load is reduced and regulation is restored. And in my program, I don't ask, how do we give you more energy? I ask, what's draining it? What systems are under the most pressure? And what is your body compensating for right now? Because once those questions are answered, fatigue often improves without ever chasing an energy supplement. You don't have to go out and keep sucking down the monster drinks, which you should never do, by the way, because it's nothing but chemical swill. It's toxic for the body. This is also why symptom chasing keeps people stuck. If you treat fatigue as the problem, you're going to miss the message. If you listen to it, you find the starting point for real healing. And that's the shift that most people have never been guided through. And that's what I do. I use quantum nutrition testing to help us have that conversation with your body. And almost 17 years of clinical experience helping people every day understand these messages that the body has given them. If you're just popping on the show, be sure to say hi in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from. Love to see where people are tuning in from. Even if you're watching this on replay, jump in there and say, hey, I'm watching from wherever you are. Okay. So another symptom we'll talk about, I did a post on this earlier this week, headaches and migraines. Okay. Headaches and migraines are another symptom that people learn to tolerate far longer than they should. They're often dismissed as tension, stress, dehydration, or just one of those things. But in practice, headaches are rarely random. Most headaches are a sign of pressure building in the system with nowhere to go. And that pressure can come from several places. I often see headaches connected to liver and gallbladder congestion. When the body can't properly process fats, hormones, or metabolic waste, pressure builds upstream. Hormonal shifts can play a role as well. Changes in estrogen and cortisol alter the vascular tone and inflammatory signaling, which can trigger headaches or migraines seemingly out of nowhere. Then there's hydration. Not just how much water someone drinks, but whether that water is actually getting into the cells. Okay? Poor mineral balance means fluid doesn't move the way that it should, and pressure follows. Neuroinflammation is another major contributor. When the brain and nervous system aren't clearing waste efficiently, headaches become a release valve. Here's the key point most people never hear. A headache is often the body saying, I need movement, drainage, or relief, and I don't have it. So what do most people do? They suppress the pain. And suppression works temporarily, but it doesn't relieve the pressure. It just teaches the body to hold it longer or express it differently next time. This is why headaches often change patterns. They move locations, they become more frequent, or they disappear for a while and come back stronger. In my program, I don't start by asking which pain reliever works best. I ask, where is pressure accumulating? What pathways are congested? Is the body able to clear what it's producing? When pressure has an exit, headaches often reduce or resolve on their own. And that's the difference between managing symptoms and addressing root cause. And for many people, headaches are one of the earliest signals that something deeper needs attention. As I'm sharing the story, this content with you, um, it reminds me of a time. This is before I got into holistic care. Um, I was working with the Mayo Clinic because I was having sleep issues, and the sleep studies I went through said I had restless periodic limb movement, and I was always complaining about restless leg syndrome. And so the doctor down there gave me a prescription, and I took the prescription. Said it was supposed to keep me from moving when I sleep and all that kind of stuff. And this is where we can get into the symptoms. Well, I started to experience these excruciating headaches. The pain in my head was excruciating. And I'm telling you, folks, a bullet would have felt better. I seriously contemplated that. It's like the pain was off the charts. I couldn't function. I couldn't think. And when it would finally subside, I went through that at 2 or 3 nights in a row. Then I did an experiment, and I didn't take the medication, and I didn't have the side effect of the headache. Okay, so I go back to the Mayo, and I tell the guy, I said, "This prescription is giving me excruciating headaches." And he goes, "No, that's not possible." He wasn't hearing me. He wasn't listening. He goes, "That has never happened to anybody he's ever worked with. I'm making it up." And I said, "Well, if I'm making it up, then I'm still not taking that prescription. I'm not taking it." He goes, "All right, I'll give you something else." And he gave me something else, and that didn't work either, but I didn't have the side effects of the headache. And I went back in, I don't know, it was a couple months later for an update, and he sat me down and he goes, "Jeff, I owe you an apology." He said, he referenced that headache situation I went through, and he said he had another patient come through with the same exact issue. And he said if I hadn't told him about the excruciating headaches, he wouldn't have heard the second guy. Um, and it, thankfully, in that case, I think it changed his attitude about some of the prescriptions he was pumping out. So you never know what can cause a headache. Why did I get the headache? If I ask these questions, what got congested? The pathways, my brain couldn't drain. I don't know. But it was a side effect that was just incredible. Um, so yeah, so that's all about headaches. We've talked about fatigue, talked about headaches and migraines. Um, take a drink of your coffee. We'll get into the next part here. Another another symptom that we can all probably relate to deals with digestive symptoms. Okay, and this is when the gut is carrying the load for the body. Digestive digestive symptoms are some of the most common reasons people come to see me, and we're talking about bloating, reflux, gas, constipation, loose stools, food reactions that seem to come out of nowhere. And most people have been told the same thing. It's just your gut. Try cutting more foods, take something to reduce acid. And the try cutting more foods, a lot of times it's happened more times than I can count over the years. By the time people with serious digestive issues come to me, they've been through the medical system, the medical meat grinder, and get to me. The food, they're on one, two, or three foods at most by that time, because anything they're eating is upsetting their gut. And so that obviously it doesn't work. You can't live like that. You have to have food. Um, take something to reduce the acid. But clinically, the gut is rarely the original problem. Okay. The digestive system is a hub. It processes what you eat, yes, but it also handles stress signaling, immune communication, detoxification, and hormone metabolism. And so when other systems are overloaded, the gut often becomes the outlet. Bloating, for example, is often a sign of slowed transit or fermentation. Food is sitting in there longer than it should because the nervous system is prioritizing survival over digestion. Reflux is another one that's commonly misunderstood. In many cases, it's not too much acid. It's actually not enough acid, but it's upward pressure. Also, when digestion slows or the gallbladder isn't moving well, pressure builds and moves in the only direction it can. Food sensitivities are another big one. Most people assume the food is the problem. Sometimes it is, um, especially if it's processed foods. That's going to be a problem. The toxins that are in that stuff is incredible. But very often the food is simply revealing stress already present in your system. And when digestion, immune signaling, and detox capacity are compromised, tolerance drops. Foods that were once fine suddenly aren't. Constipation fits the same pattern. It's rarely about fiber, it's about movement, about whether the body feels safe enough to let go. And here's the pattern that I see over and over: the more stressed the system becomes, the more digestion shuts down. And the more digestion shuts down, the more stress the system experiences. It's a loop. And in my program, I don't start by removing more foods or forcing digestive aids. I look at nervous system regulation, liver and gallbladder flow, and drainage and elimination capacity. And when those systems are supported in the right order, digestion often improves without extreme restriction. And that's why chasing gut symptoms alone rarely works long term. The gut is responding to the environment it's in. Change the environment, and the gut follows. Make sure you say hi in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. If you have any questions also about the content, throw it in the comments, and I'll try to answer it by the end of the show. All right. Here's another one that everyone can relate to: anxiety, mood swings, and emotional reactivity. And this is dealing with when the nervous system is on guard. Okay. Anxiety, excuse me, anxiety, mood swing, testing. I don't know what's going on there. All right. Anxiety, mood swings, irritability, and emotional reactivity are some of the most misunderstood symptoms that I see. Many people assume that these are purely emotional or psychological issues, that if they could just think differently, calm down, or manage stress better, they'd feel fine. But very often these symptoms are coming from the body, not the mind. When the nervous system is under constant pressure, it shifts into protection mode. And that changes how the brain processes information, how the body responds to stimuli, and how emotions are expressed. Blood sugar instability is a big driver here. When glucose drops too low, the body releases stress hormones to compensate. That can feel like anxiety, panic, shakiness, or sudden irritability. Who hasn't experienced that? Inflammation also plays a role. Inflammatory signaling alters neurotransmitter balance and increases sensitivity to stress. Small things start to feel overwhelming. Sleep quality matters more than most people realize. You can be in bed for 8 hours and still wake up unregulated if sleep architecture is disrupted. The nervous system never fully resets when that happens. And so over time, the body learns to stay alert. You become hypervigilant. You're always scanning for threat. And in that state, emotions become sharper, reactions faster, and tolerance lower. Here's the key point: these symptoms are not a character flaw, they're a survival response. And in my program, I don't start by asking someone to calm down or think positive. I've done that enough for myself over the years. I've read enough self help books to know that sometimes it's just not the book or telling somebody to calm down. Instead, I ask, is their nervous system supported? Is blood sugar stable? Is inflammation being addressed? Is the body actually resting at night? Now I use an aura ring, so I get my daily sleep stats because um, I'm learning so much about. Maybe I'll do a show on the stats that the aura ring puts out. You know, I always I for me I'm kind of geeky that way. I use a lot of biometric devices. I wear a Garmin watch that gives me biometrics about everything I'm doing, and of course the aura ring, I'm wearing that. Um, and it's great to have that data, and a lot of times people don't even use it. They don't even look at it. And so it's like, well, why are you wearing it if you don't know what you're looking at? So I might do a show on that. um, and I've learned that if my deep sleep is interrupted, if I get less than 30 minutes of deep sleep, that's on the low side even for me. um, this happened, well, Monday night when I was super stressed about what was going on in my shop with the deep freeze. I slept terrible. I had 5 minutes of deep sleep on the charts, and Tuesday was just a rough day. You know, I was exhausted. I was tired, stressed. Um, and once I got a solution identified and knew that there was a game plan, I've slept great the rest of the week. Okay. Um, so when the foundations are in place, emotional regulation often improves naturally. Okay. A lot of times people well, this is why chasing anxiety as a standalone problem rarely works, because the body's responding appropriately to the signals that it's receiving. And in my opinion, I think a lot of times when we're feeling depressed, and I can't count the number of people I've worked with over the years that came to me who were depressed or dealing with anxiety. And in almost every case, it has been something in the body that's out of balance. And once we get things back into balance, their moods, everything stabilizes out. Okay. um, the challenges are when people come in and they've already been on the medical meat grinder and have taken the prescriptions, and some of those prescriptions for depression and anxiety are pretty strong on the body, some of the psychotropics. um, and it can be very challenging to work with your doctor, your medical doctor, to come off of those. Okay. Because I'm not a medical doctor, I can't tell people what to do with prescriptions or not to do with them. Um, what I can do is encourage my clients, and I do this for everyone if they're on medications, encourage them that, hey, let your doctor know that you're on a natural health improvement program and you're trying to restore things naturally, because when your body starts to work better, your prescriptions will also start to work better. And you will need to, at some point, tone down or reduce the dose that they've got you on. And ultimately, hopefully, you get to the point where the doctor says, you know what, let's just take you off of this. Okay. Um, that's my goal for all of my clients, is to get them healthy enough and strong enough where they don't need the medications anymore. To me, that's a huge win when we can get there. So, what we need to do is change the signals that the body is getting, and the response changes. All right. So, here's one that I know all of us can relate to, and it's talking about weight that won't move, and when the body is choosing protection. Okay. So, listen up if you feel like you're carrying the extra weight, which can apply to a majority of the population. Even me, I'm working on it. I've got extra weight. I'm working with my trainer, and it's coming off. But weight that won't come off is one of the most emotionally charged symptoms that people deal with. Most people assume it comes down to willpower, calories, or discipline, doing more and eating less. Okay. But in practice, stubborn weight is rarely about effort. Very often, weight retention is a protective response. Okay. And you can look at the protection response. It can be something physiologically going on in the body that's out of balance. All right. Or it can be emotional responses. And I work with my clients to help point those out. Oh, Amy, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. All right, so I'm going to take a break here on this symptom. We're going to share what Amy just said. I removed the lamp and phone charger from my nightstand, and I sleep a lot better. Waking up foggy is gone. Thank you. You're welcome. I think I talked about that last week, didn't I, Amy? Um, and that has been the case since I removed the electronics off of my nightstands. My sleep has been better. I still sleep. I'm still sleeping with this EMF protection hat. Okay, I love that thing. And we're talking about managing our sleep in the earlier segment, and it's my sleep has been on a steady improvement since I cleared my nightstands out. Um, and I don't know. I love it. So, all right. Thanks, Amy, for that validation. So, weight is rarely about effort, okay? Very often, weight retention is a protective response. When the body's under stress, it shifts priorities. Survival comes before aesthetics, repair comes before fat loss. Inflammation plays a major role here, okay? Inflamed tissue alters insulin signaling and makes fat loss biologically difficult, no matter how clean the diet looks. Hormones matter too. Cortisol, insulin, thyroid signaling, and sex hormones all influence whether the body feels safe enough to release stored energy. Blood sugar instability reinforces this pattern. If glucose rises and crashes repeatedly, the body learns to conserve, and fat becomes insurance. This is why extreme calorie restriction so often backfires. The body interprets that as a threat. So metabolism slows down and cravings increase. And weight loss stalls or reverses. Here's the truth most people never hear. The body does not release weight when it feels threatened. So in my program, I don't do weight loss programs. I don't start with weight loss as the goal. I start with restoring regulation. So I'm going to be looking at the inflammatory load, the hormone signaling, blood sugar stability, stress physiology, drainage and elimination capacity. And yes, sometimes we're going to touch on the emotions. Some of those emotions can stem from childhood traumas. Parents telling us we're not good enough, all that stuff. It can get ugly. But at some point, you will look at that. You may look at that working in a program with me, um, and learning how to make peace with that. Because again, you're not defective. It's just sometimes you're running programs that other people put on you. So when those systems come back online, weight often begins to shift without force. I always like to say once we get your body back into balance, one of the side effects is weight will stop dropping, will start dropping. Okay. The body knows what weight it wants to be at. And once it feels safe enough, it's going to start letting it go. And when it does, it stays off because the body's not being bullied into change. It's being supported into safety. And weight, so weight is not the problem. Weight is information. And once you listen to what it's protecting you from, the body no longer needs to hold on. Sometimes the questions I'll ask my clients is this: what are you hiding from? Or what are you afraid to let go? And that's where journaling comes in. Sometimes a referral, I might recommend you go work with a talk therapist. Sometimes we're going to talk about it right there in the office, and I'll get down there in the pit of hell with you, the pit of shit that you're carrying around. I'll climb right in there with you, and we'll talk about it. Because I've been in my own versions of the pit over the years, and sometimes it is one of the loneliest places you can find on the planet. So we've talked about a lot of symptoms, and it's like why we're going to talk about why treating symptoms individually keeps people stuck. Okay, this is in the bucket of chasing symptoms. By the time most people reach out to me, they have tried so much. They have been living on the medical meat grinder. Okay, you can go to medicalmeatgrinder.com if you're interested in learning how you can get on a program with me. But they've treated fatigue, they've treated the headaches, they've treated the gut issues, they've worked on anxiety, they've dieted for weight loss, and for a while something usually helps. Okay, but then it doesn't, it stops working, or another symptom will show up, or everything slowly drifts back. I don't call that failure. That's the predictable outcome of treating symptoms in isolation. The body does not operate in silos. Systems talk to each other constantly in our body. And when one system is under pressure, others are going to compensate. So when you suppress or override a symptom without addressing what's driving it, the body adapts. It reroutes the stress. It finds another outlet. And that's why people experience the whack-a-mole effect. One symptom goes quiet, another speaks up. This is also why stacking medications rarely works long term. More medications, more restrictions, more interventions. And without sequence and regulation, the load just shifts. In my program, I don't chase symptoms. I'm looking for patterns. I ask which systems are carrying the most stress, where is pressure building, and what does the body have capacity to address right now? Quantum nutrition testing helps me identify what your body is ready to process, what it has an ability for. How much load can it handle? And the techniques I use with muscle testing and quantum nutrition testing help me get to those answers that your body is trying trying to tell you. But healing works best when the body is guided, not forced. That means restoring regulation before pushing resolution. It means supporting capacity or supporting drainage before mobilizing stressors. Building capacity so the system doesn't collapse under the weight of doing all the right things. And so when you work this way, symptoms often quiet down together. Not because they were attacked, but because the body no longer needs them. That's the difference between managing health and restoring it. And once people experience that shift, they stop chasing. They start stabilizing, and real healing becomes sustainable. So, if you've been listening to this and thinking, that explains me, then here's what I want you to hear clearly. You don't need another protocol, you don't need more guesswork, and you don't need to keep cycling through symptoms. Excuse me. I think the air is pretty dry here this morning. You don't need to keep cycling through symptoms hoping that the next thing finally sticks. My goal when I'm working with people is to be their last stop. I help people get off the medical meat grinder. I want this to be the last stop. A lot of times people will be searching practitioner to practitioner, doctor to doctor, looking for the solution. Um, I believe I have the solution, and my goal is to always be their last stop. And I've actually had people in the past where things were improving dramatically, and then the person quits working with me. And what's interesting about that dynamic is they've carried the identity of their dysfunctional health for so long that they reach a point where they're getting scared that they have to give that up. They don't know who they're going to become. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's not. I can understand it. I've worn that those labels in my own life for so many years before I got healthy again. Um, and what I want to always tell people like that is the side of good health is not scary. This is the place that you want to be. And so you don't need to keep cycling through symptoms hoping the next thing finally sticks. What most people are missing isn't effort, okay? It's insight. Real healing starts when you understand what your body is dealing with and how it needs to be supported in the right order. And that's exactly what my quantum nutrition testing full assessment is designed to do. It's not about chasing symptoms. It's about identifying stress patterns, system overloads, and where your body actually has capacity to begin healing right now. And I'm just remembering something before I go into this next part. I got to make a quick change. Oh, good, it's in there. Bum, bum, bum. Um, oh, good grief. I hate it when the system does this kind of stuff. Hmm. So give me about 5 minutes after the show, 5 or 10 minutes after the show to get this turned on. I forgot to turn this on yesterday. All right. So, and you'll understand what I'm talking about here in a second. It's about, once you know what the stress patterns are, the system overloads are, and where your body actually has capacity to begin healing right now, once you know that, everything changes. Okay. Decisions become clear, the noise drops out, and the body finally has a plan that it can work with. Okay. So for today only, you have until midnight today, Central Time. I'm opening up a 1 day special to help people get started. Okay. 1 day special. The Q&T full assessment is normally $350. For today only, you can book it for $150 by using the promo code right now in all capital letters. Okay? Right now in all capital letters. Saves you $200. Not because healing should be rushed, but because clarity shouldn't be delayed. Okay? If you're tired of chasing symptoms and ready to understand what your body has been asking for all along, this is your starting point. Book today and get on my schedule this week, this coming week. Okay. The offer expires at midnight. The promo code, all capital letters, right now. Saves you $200. But give me 10 minutes after the show so I can make sure that coupon is turned on. Can't believe I didn't turn that on. So right now. All right. So as we wrap up today, make sure I hit all the comments. All right. As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this thought. Okay. Your symptoms are not random. They are not betrayals. They are not signs that your body is broken. They're communication. And when you stop fighting the signals and start listening to them, something shifts. The body relaxes. This communication happens for a reason. Your body's trying to tell you something. And most of us are trained to override that and ignore it, or to chase it and look for that overnight relief. Real healing doesn't happen overnight. Okay? The body relaxes, clarity replaces confusion, and healing becomes a process instead of a battle. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to have it all figured out today. You just need the right starting point. And when the body feels supported instead of forced, it does what it was designed to do. So let's close with a prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you for the wisdom you've built into the human body, for its ability to adapt, to protect, and to communicate when something is out of balance. I pray for those listening today who feel stuck, frustrated, or worn down by symptoms. Bring them clarity where there has been confusion, peace where there has been fear, and hope where there has been exhaustion. Guide each person to the next right step for their health. Help them listen with discernment, act with patience, and trust the process you designed. May their bodies find rest, regulation, and restoration in your timing. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks for spending your morning with me. This is Morning Coffee with Doc Jeff. I'll see you next time. But just a reminder, the promo code is right now. It gets you $200 off. And I'm going to set that, turn that coupon on for today only. It's good today only, $200 off. All right. So I love you guys. We will see you later.